everyone. So today is not, well, I am getting ready to do some readings, but this specific video is not about a reading. This is about helping you guys who may not already know or understand astrology, just as a small astrology lesson. This is not a big one, okay? Help you understand astrology in the sense of your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. I know a lot of times you guys might click on a reading. Not me specifically. I know I'm not one of those readers that encourages people to look at their sun, moon, and rising. I feel like people do whatever they're called to do. And I feel like that's the best intuitive message, is the one that we're guided to. So, but I know that, you know, there are some of us that just don't understand exactly how all of that works. And sometimes you'll be listening to a reader, doing their tarot reading, and they'll tell you, go check out your sun, moon, rising, and Venus, right? Those are the main ones that I hear. And so a lot of people, they don't pay it any attention, and they don't ever, look into it because they don't really understand what their moon sign says about them, what their ascendant sign says about them, or even their Venus. And then some people only have a loose understanding of what the sun sign means, you know. So we'll start with the sun sign. Your sun sign, what it tells you about you is your core personality, who you are at your core. That's why people resonate so much with the sun signs. And that's why in most cases people don't look deeper to find out about their moon sign or their ascendant sign, because the sun sign tells us a lot about our personality, things that just common traits, common likes, dislikes, things that resonate with who we are, right? Temperament, things like that. Yeah. So that's the sun sign in a nutshell. Your sun sign is going to tell you about who you are at your core. Then you have your moon sign. Hi everybody. If you guys could like the video, I would really appreciate it. So the moon sign tells you about your emotions. So because I also listen to tarot readings as well, and when I want a reading from an outside perspective, and I look for my moon sign, it is because I am going through something emotionally. I'm going through some kind of emotional storm, and I want a higher perspective or an outside perspective about what is going on with my emotions, right? So you got when you get a reading that tells you about your moon sign, you have to also understand that sign. For me, I'm a Leo sun. My moon is in Scorpio. So, what I can tell you based on my personal perspective, based on what I know about Scorpio, is that Scorpios have very deep emotions. Some people look at astrologically, as far as astrology goes, people say that Scorpios can be dark. And that is because they have such deep emotions and they're misunderstood. And so when you have deep emotions and people don't understand you, you tend to kind of like withdraw, which kind of gives that, you know, that kind of dark aspect, that isolated aspect, not like the rest aspect. But the thing about Scorpio is that Scorpio is also a water sign. So, water signs in general are emotional signs. With them being emotional, they are also intuitive, naturally by nature, because we have to feel out our emotions. and filling out our emotions requires us to be in tune with our heart chakra and our sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is the main chakra for intuition. Hi, Braden. So yeah, um, so when you're looking for your moon sign, like let's say your moon sign is in Leo, and you're trying to figure out your emotions at that time in your life. Hi, Ankesh. You're trying to figure out your emotions for that time in your life. Maybe you're going through something emotionally and you want to get a bigger understanding or a better understanding of what you're going through. And your moon sign is in Leo. What Leo what your moon sign being in Leo, that one's actually kind of epic. You require validation. So maybe sometimes if your moon is in Leo, maybe if you're going through some kind of emotional thing, you can understand your triggers a little bit better when you know your moon sign. Hey, maybe just got through finishing this project. I brought it to my boyfriend, my girlfriend. She didn't seem too thrilled about it, or maybe she didn't want to say she didn't like the finished product. I don't know, but because my moon is in Leo, I know that I require validation. You get what I'm saying? I require support or some level of good job, that kind of thing. Um, I can't speak for I would have to go through all of the zodiac signs, and maybe one day I'll put together a video where we can talk about how each sign is affected for each aspect: moon, sun, and rising. But that's genuinely what you want to look at. If you're going through something, that's the perfect time to go and look at your moon sign readings. If you are feeling very emotional or going through some kind of emotional turmoil, that's when you go look at your moon reading, your moon sign reading. Your ascendant. So your ascendant or your rising sign, otherwise known as your ascendant, it tells you about how the world perceives you. It's like your reputation, but not just your reputation. It's generally the impression that you leave on people in general, the kinds of things that people can expect from you. Now, if you're not sure about how you come off to people, right, then going and watching a reading for your ascendant sign is a wonderful idea because it'll give you some perspective. So, one of the main ways that I could see someone wanting to know more or wanting a reading on their ascendant sign is a lot about how you fit into society, which is in that career specter, right? So, like if you wanted to figure out how you can do better people relations or promote your business, especially if you're a small business owner. You know what I'm saying? You should go and look at your rising sign because you want to know what kind of impression you're leaving on people. My rising is in Aquarius. So Aquariuses are known for communication. They're known as the humanitarians of the zodiac. And I do have a tendency to be very caring, a great listener, very compassionate. In a lot of cases, I'm also in communication. I like communication, but that's something that I'm doing right now. So that would be some kind of way that y'all would perceive me because this is a thankless thing. I don't get paid for this. I do this because this is something that is in my heart to do, in my spirit to do. And that's how it plays a part in my ascendant. You see what I'm saying? It's something that's instilled in me, but it's really based on how people perceive me. It's still something that's a part of me, even though it's not my sun sign, right? Because my sun sign is Leo. So think about and do research on what your signs are and what those signs mean, what they represent. So when you go out into the world, you can be more mindful. Because I'm really big on self mastery, right? That if there was anything that I could say that I want to give my collective, it's self mastery, the art of self mastery. And not saying that I have all the keys and all the tools. I'm not saying that. But I do want to be a driving force, or at least some place where you can get some advice to give you some direction so that you can start that journey for yourself. And the thing about self mastery is, because we're constantly changing, what is required of us to be a master of ourselves is also completely changing. It's like, think of like the video games where you level up. Every time you level up, you start at square one. So where when you made it to the end of the last level, you was on boss status. You just completed the level boss. You know what I'm saying? And you hot shit. But when you start that new level, you're not. You're back at baby mode. You got to work your way back up over and over and over again. So think of it like that. Because I just remember being on my journey and having to do a lot of research and not a lot of people talking about some of the things that I was guided to. Me personally, I'm a light worker, so I get a lot of guidance from the heavens. That's where I get my guidance from. And people on YouTube who are also guided by the heavens. So you get what I'm saying? And I just want to make sure that I offer something that I would have wanted to receive at some point in time. I'm going to touch on the Venus sign, even though that's not in the title. And there's more to the Venus sign than this, what I'm getting ready to say. High, high cup, cup tedits. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but hey, with the Venus sign, um, the Venus energy is about love. So specifically, if you are, I'm not saying to only look at your Venus sign when it comes to love, but baby, those readings about your love life, they hit different. The sun sign is gonna still hit. You can still look at a sun sign reading and it's still gonna hit. But imagine having two different readings from two different perspectives of you, and them both giving you vital information from two different perspectives. It's like this, um it's like I want to know what's going on from my left and my right, but I'm standing right here. So I don't have a full view of the west. I don't have a full view of the east. Now imagine if I split myself into three people and I set one person on the and me and my other counterparts are communicating with each other. So instead of me just looking to the east and seeing what I can see from where I'm at, I can actually refer to the version of me that's standing in the east, and they can give me a full report on what they can see. I can talk to the me that's sitting in the west, and they can give me a full report on what I can see, on what they can see from the west, and then I still have my middle view, and I can gather all of that information instead of splitting up the information from just getting whatever little pieces I can get from here and from there from standing only in the middle. That is the difference between knowing your different signs and also knowing how to utilize them. So like I said, when especially ego. Get in touch. I know we always talk about the ego death and spirituality, but the reality of it is guys, we we chose to come here to have a human experience. And the ego is a part of that. Do not demonize your ego. Acknowledge your ego. That would be like ignoring your body just because you are a soul having a human experience. Just because you know that you're a soul having a human experience, it doesn't mean now we ignore the body, right? No, what we do is we learn how to take care of this body through guidance from our spiritual self. So, it's the same difference. Don't throw away your ego. Do not ignore your ego. That requires validation as well. We talk about the ego death because some of us get so caught up in this human experience that we forget that we are a spirit having a human experience. But what I want to urge you guys to do, because you're in my collective, you guys are very much so aware that you are a spirit having a human experience. That message is not meant for you. Not so much. You probably need a reminder every now and again, but you ain't forgot. You ain't forgot that you are here having a human experience and that you're a spirit that is going to move on to the next thing after this life is over. You ain't forgot that. You are fully aware of that. So please pay attention to your ego. And that is one of the things that your sun sign is about. It's about your ego. It's about your ego. What feels good to you in this life? What kind of accomplishments do you want to say that you've made? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? How many children do you want to have? What kind of impact do you want to have on those kids? And how do you want to raise them so that they can have an impact on the world on their own? All of that, that's the sun sign. That is ego. That is ego, believe it or not. Because without the ego, why care about anything that goes on the third dimension? Why care about anything that goes on the earthly realm? We might as well just fall out in the street now and go up to heaven if we don't care about the ego. The ego is important. The ego is very important. It's about who we are in this third dimension. We came here to do something. We came here with a mission. We came here with a task. And if you're a starseed, if you're a light worker, if you're an empath, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know that you have a mission and you know that you have to complete it before your time is up. And it's hard navigating the third dimension while being fully aware that you're a spiritual being, right? And staying connected and not disassociating from this place. So, yeah. If you are, if it, and when you want to look at the core of who you are, the accomplishments you want to make, the legacy you want to leave, you focus on your sun sign. When you want to talk about your emotions, why am I feeling like this? Why am I dissatisfied? Why do I feel unfulfilled? Or why do I feel fulfilled? Why do I feel so happy? What is it that I've done? What kind of energetic place am I in to where now I am manifesting my truest desires? I want to study this thing. I want a closer look at it. That is your moon sign. When you start to wonder how the rest of the world perceives you, right? That's when you look at your ascendant sign. And when you want to know a little something about where you're headed in love, then you can check on your Venus sign as well. Even though I'm not going to go too much into the Venus sign. I really just wanted to focus on the sun, moon, and rising, or otherwise known as the ascendant. Yeah, if you want to know about your love life, go and check out your Venus sign. Okay, guys, that was all I wanted to say. I'm going to come back and do some readings now, but I'm going to close out this reading. You guys have a wonderful one, and I will catch you on the next one.